Hello everybody and welcome to the latest Epic Universe construction update. If you're unaware, Epic Universe is a brand new theme park coming to Universal Studios Florida and is currently set to open in 2025. The construction progress for this new theme park is nothing short of impressive. It's getting to the point where we're seeing visual progress almost on a weekly basis around the entire park. My hopeful prediction is that if this pace keeps up, we could be looking at AP previews and/or a soft opening sometime in 2024. Time will tell, of course, but we'll have to wait and see. Epic Universe is located just 2 miles south of Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure in Orlando, Florida. And this new park will include brand new lands themed to How to Train Your Dragon, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Universal Monsters, and my personal favorite, Super Nintendo World. So in today's update, we're going to start where all theme park journeys begin, the park entrance.
Makes sense.
We have a great look at the entrance gate area to Epic Universe here, and compared to just a month ago, a lot of progress has been made in this area. The concrete forms for the smaller archways are now done before exterior theming begins, and now work is starting on the feature archway like we can see in the concept art, as well as the same type of archway that can be seen over at the main Universal Studios entrance. Here we have a look at the water feature that will greet guests just after they enter Epic Universe. And some people have asked what this pole is that you see at the arrow. Well, the pole here was placed years ago when this site was flat and empty and no work had started, and it was to mark where the park entrance would be. So it's good to know their accuracy is on point.
I'm proud of you!
And if you're wondering what these buildings are in the entrance area, the domed building will be admission sales, and security and admissions area will be under the roofs you see at the bottom. Now that we're in the park, let's head over to the Dark Universe to check out what will be the Universal Monsters themed land. In the past few updates, this land has been under a lot of scaffolding, but we are starting to be able to see some nice progress even with the scaffolding. And in some areas, the scaffolding is actually beginning to be removed, which is very exciting.
Think I'm excited?
Here at a giant tree that will be near the entrance to the Dark Universe, we see at the arrows where painting of tree roots can be seen through the scaffolding. And to the right, we can see a giant tree root emerging with the theming here. In this shot, we have some construction on a village in Dark Universe. And this is a good insight into how theme park theming works because you can see there is only theming happening where it can be seen by guests. If guests can't see it, then there won't be any theming of it. It also seems at 3 where work is finally happening on the entrance portal to this land. Now it is believed that this will be a broken brick wall, so hopefully we will have some idea of what this will be shaping up to look like in the next update. Heading over to the Dark Manor, we can see scaffolding is starting to be removed, where we can see some of our first looks at the theming of this building. Now, the Dark Manor is believed to be the featured attraction in Dark Universe and will feature a Kuka arm-based ride system similar to what you will see in this video, and it has the same ride system that you will find over at the Forbidden Journey in Hogsmeade at Islands of Adventure. And the small building to the left is believed to be a quick service restaurant, which is also making a lot of progress. Over at the Curse of the Werewolf roller coaster, we can see even more trees that have been placed in the recently transplanted forest here. Also at the Arrow, we can see theming elements that are out for display, probably for exterior theming workers to work off of. Here's the latest we can see on the progress of the Curse of the Werewolf roller coaster. Nothing much to note outside of some scaffolding that is now over the launch from the station at the lower right. The frames above the scaffolding are believed to be for tent supports in this area. Now it's time to head over to the land I'm most looking forward to, Super Nintendo World. Over at the Donkey Kong coaster, there isn't much progress here to note since the last time we took a look over here. But if you're unfamiliar with how this ride will work, the coaster cars will actually be on a side track and you will simulate jumping over broken elements of the track on top like in the Donkey Kong video games. And here are some shots where you can actually see the side track and the broken falls track elements on top. And with fencing up around this attraction, we should see ride testing beginning very soon. All right, jumping over to the outside of the land, we have a look at some theming progress for a building that's sitting just outside of Super Nintendo World that is believed to be a Nintendo-themed gift shop and cafe. So much like Donkey Kong, there isn't a lot of progress to report over here at the Mushroom Kingdom since our last visit, but we should start seeing exterior theming begin on Peach's Castle and the Mario Kart attraction entrance presumably very soon. One interesting new development though is at the arrow here seems like it will have an exit from the land. Now this isn't uncommon, as Universal has done this with the Wizarding World lands, where there are exits outside the main entrance/exit areas to help with crowd flow, especially when it's busy. Now, of course, the natural leap from plumbers is to wizards.
Is that right? That's right.
So let's take a look over at the Wizarding World to see what we can see over here. Over at the entrance portal to the Wizarding World, we see at the arrows some newly added features here with an octagon shape. Unsure what these are going to be for, but I'm sure we will find out in the coming weeks. And here we can see at an arched opening in the side of the Ministry of Magic attraction show building. Now this is likely a queue area for guests waiting to board the attraction, as we can see a wall there, so this is probably part of the queue. Now, much like last time, most of this land is still covered in scaffolding, so we aren't able to see much in the way of exterior progress. Once the exterior theming is completed here and the scaffolding comes down, we will be able to get some great looks and perhaps even get some theming details that are unique to the Wizarding World that could emerge. Now, let's head on over to the land that seemingly has major progress every time we check it out, which is over at the Isle of Berk in the How to Train Your Dragon land.
I'm very busy here.
There's lots of activity over here at the entrance portal to the land, and the last time we were here, we saw framing going up for the separation element here for guest entrance and exit flow. And just a few weeks later, now we can see that that already has rock work and exterior theming going on with it. Here at the Spinning Dragon attraction, we have a good look at the Blue Dragon, but you'll notice the fencing in the background that is new, which means ride testing is going to be happening here pretty soon. When we zoom out, we can see fencing is around the Red Dragon as well, so hopefully we can catch a glimpse of the ride testing when it does take place here. Over at the How to Train Your Dragon coaster, we can see some of the rockwork theming happening, and you'll notice on the coaster that the support beams look like wood, but they are actually steel, but they are just going to be painted to look like wood, given that this is being themed after a Viking village. There's a lot of wood elements that would be in place, so you're going to see a lot of that going on. In this shot, we can see a lot of work happening. At 1, the roller coaster tunnel has a painted base coat. At 2, rock work that is ready for paint. At 3, we have sculpting in progress to theme an electrical building. And at 4, there's lots of activity on the roof of what is believed to be a shop in the land, and there will be rock work on top of the roof here. And another angle of the roof work on top of the shop. Footers on the roof are for the rockwork theming, and that extends down to the water at the right. Now over at the second launch of the How to Train Your Dragon coaster, here is rockwork on the right side of the second launch that is sculpted and ready for paint, and rockwork on the left side is still being formed with what is called chips or mesh sections. The rockwork area on the left is also believed to be for a kids' play area once completed.
Kids, go play.
At the Great Hall Restaurant, which is the featured restaurant in this land, we can see a frame recently added on the roof for some rock work. Exterior theming continues on the exterior of the building. And to the left is a great look at this land's boat ride, unload, and load area. Now this view gives us one of the best views of the Great Hall and how it will stand out in the land. My guess, though, is at the top of the rock work that is starting now will be a dragon perched on top of the entrance. A look at the main station for the How to Train Your Dragon coaster, we get a good look at the state of the roof theming as that is coming along very nicely. Also with the newly placed trees, more than likely it looks like guests won't know the first launch of the coaster is coming until the hairpin turn around the trees.
You sneaky.
And we zoom in a bit at the first launch of the How to Train Your Dragon coaster, and like we talked about with the support beams, it may seem like this whole thing is made of wood. Now there is scaffolding that is made of wood, but all of the beams are steel. They are just painted to look like wood. Now you may notice around the How to Train Your Dragon roller coaster tracks that there is sand around the base of the coaster track. Now it's hard to tell with the scale, but this is actually a base for upcoming concrete pours for maintenance walkways around the coaster. Now in this almost straight down shot, the arrow shows the ride direction the coaster will travel, and you'll see some fencing toward the top, which indicates that this ride is also ready for ride testing very soon, but we do know there's reach testing going on, which we will see momentarily. And here's a look at the front of the theater in the How to Train Your Dragon land for the show that will be called Untrainable. And we pull out a bit here and we can see at 1 is the theater entrance, at 2 is likely the theater exit, And at 3 is the boat ride in the land. And over at the boat ride, we can see the load and unload station is making some progress, and a few ramps have recently been removed from this area as well. And in this angle of the boat ride, we can see at 1, walls and completed theming, and there's a water line with additional texture that you can see if you look really closely. And here at the entrance of the land, we will find the bay that will greet guests as they enter the land. Workers near a Viking ship do lend some scale to the height of the pair of these statues. Now the portal entrance into the land is at the top right, and the boardwalk around the bay is still in progress. And here in the bay is where the How to Train Your Dragon coaster will ride through and around. And we can see at the arrow, we have coaster cars on the track that are partially covered. And as with most of the ride cars that you find on coaster tracks, this one is currently undergoing a reach test. And another example of theme park theming, we have this photo from July of this year at some theming models for How to Train Your Dragon Land. And if we look right here, we have the rockwork theming that we can compare to the models that we previously just saw. And this area is probably not complete, but it is pretty cool to see a little progress like this and how things match up to the models. Let's head over to the center of the park, which is going to be called Celestial Park, and check out the progress on the dual racing coaster called Starfall Racers.
Let's race!
Here we have some scaffolding on the decorative main feature of the main station of the coaster. Zooming in a little closer, we can see at 1 a reach test device inside the scaffolding to make sure that theming elements are out of reach of riders. And we recently saw excavation beginning over here, and now we have an idea of the depth of the excavation at the front of Starfall Racers. In this view of the family carousel attraction in the center of the park, we have a look at the domes. Now this too will be surrounded by water, and the domes will be covered in stained glass, giving it a very unique and beautiful look. And zooming out a little bit here, we can see at 1 a chain of fountains in the water feature. 3 is a semicircle offset that is believed to be a splash pad area for the kids. And at 4, we have the pump room for what is presumably all of the water features in the center of the park. All right, finishing up our tour, we will take a peek at the progress at the Epic Universe hotels.
I'm a fancy boy.
And here we have a look at the outdoor recreation and pool area of the outside hotels over here at Epic Universe. And you can see at the arrow there is a stylized inner wall that is in development. Now the color changing tiles are still being placed on the exterior of both of the outside hotels, but not much progress has been made on this front since our last visit. Let's head over to the in-park hotel to check on its progress. Progress on the tower continues to grow, and the tropical pool area is really starting to take shape at the arrow as well. Now this is a great look at the in-park view of the hotel here, with work beginning on what seems like the 8th floor of guest rooms, but it's hard to tell what is guest rooms and what isn't at this point. Now this hasn't been talked about a lot from what I've seen, but there will be a restaurant that sits right outside the in-park hotel on the left side. And here we can see that that building is coming along pretty quickly. In this view on the left side, we can see the restaurant as well as at 1, some hotel theming elements seemingly beginning to emerge. At 2 is likely a meeting room at the end of the floor. And at 3 is the development of the resort's outdoor recreation area. Well, that's going to do it for this Epic Universe construction update. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel before you leave. We will be doing more Epic Universe updates and land previews as construction progresses. And here at Capture the Magic, we also have vlogs and informational videos to help you have the best time when heading to Universal Studios and/or Disney World. And over on the CTM Podcast YouTube channel, we discuss all things Universal Studios and Disney World in much greater detail. So I'm curious, do you think it's possible we see a soft opening or AP previews happen in 2024? Let us know in the comments. But until next time, we will see you in the parks.